Guess what? I have nobody that ever call and check on me. I call and check on her every day. She's calling. I call her and check on her every day. Yeah,
Viewers and cast members of Season 12, Episode 15 will be in shock in the dramatic universe of love and hip-hop Atlanta, where turmoil and personal hardships regularly take the stage. Well known for his explosive attitude and stormy relationships, Lil Scrappy, one of the constants of the show, unveils a startling discovery that none could have expected. The episode opens with a bombshell that throws off his already turbulent marriage to Bambi and finally threatens to wipe apart the family they have so painstakingly built. It looks to be a usual day in the life of Lil Scrappy and Bambi, who are committed to co-parenting and maintaining normalcy in their hectic schedules despite ups and downs. While they spend time with their children and try to focus on their family ties, behind closed doors something far darker is developing, and the apparently calm moment quickly turns into anarchy. A famous person known for his might and perseverance, Scrappy talks about a dreadful revelation that has upended his entire existence in recent years. His credit card statement shows a series of ever more dubious charges he cannot remember placing. He first writes them off, thinking there might be a mistake or possibly a bank issue, but the charges keep increasing more frequently until they eventually grab his attention. Though in small numbers, each more shocking than the last, they were nonetheless considerable sums. It begins with a minor purchase here, a doubtful transaction there, but it doesn't take long for the figures to attain an astonishing $1 million total. The discovery sends Scrappy reeling. His first reaction is that someone must have taken his card, probably a stranger or acquaintance who had access to his finances. As he investigates the charges more, though, he discovers a disturbing trend. The charges are all linked to one person, his wife Bambi, rather than from random sites or unidentified individuals. As Scrappy comes to grips with the information, a sense of betrayal fills him. How could someone so close to? He remembers moments in their relationship when he had let his guard down and gave Bambi access to his financial accounts to pay for family costs or handle emergencies. He never expected that those simple acts of trust would be used to exploit him so cruelly, and the emotional weight of what he's learned starts to weigh heavily on him. This goes beyond money. It's about the breach of confidence. Bambi had spent $1 million without his knowledge, not just a little here and there, or agreement. When Scrappy shares the awful information with his closest friends and family, his expression reveals his grief. While some are startled and others are enraged, most of them have one clear message. Although they advise Scrappy to acquire legal counsel and take immediate action to defend his assets, Scrappy is reluctant to drag his private life into the public eye, particularly when his children are involved, and he wants to avoid it at all costs.
Yo, what you doing here?
What thing we talking about? What thing we talking about? What thing?
You don't be on that. You just want me to look bad. It's all good. You want me to look bad like I don't do nothing, you know what? I know you said out on.
As the couple sits down to talk about the situation, Scrappy chooses to face Bambi in spite of his internal struggle. You can feel the tension in the room. As Scrappy looks at Bambi, who initially appears to be entirely clueless to the seriousness of the situation, his heart races. When Scrappy displays the bank statements with the rising charges, her cool-headedness only makes things worse for him, who feels thoroughly duped. The face of Bambi, she doesn't reply straight quickly, and as she analyzes what Scrappy is accusing her of doing, her eyes widen in disbelief. Becomes oppressive between them as the situation's truth sets in. At first, Bambi denies everything, stating that something went wrong, a miscommunication at some time, but Scrappy's proof is clear. Every transaction, every expense. As the altercation heats up, everything points to her. As Bambi's initial shock wears off and the implications of her actions begin to sink in, she sobs and gives Scrappy an explanation that he finds hard to believe. The money wasn't spent out of malice or greed, but rather as a cry for assistance. She recognizes that she struggled to handle the obligations of parenthood, her husband, and her own personal concerns, feeling overloaded and cut off from everyone around her, not simply Scrappy. Bambi utilized spending as an escape technique, assuming that it would bring her a short-term reprieve from the stress she was experiencing and give her a sense of control over a world that usually appeared impossible. Although the buying binge was an act of rebellion against the emotional upheaval she had been going through, Scrappy was hurt and disillusioned and found it difficult to accept her. He says that he finds it inexplicable that she could so seriously shatter his confidence. In addition to the money, she also stole his sense of security and faith in their partnership. The scenario grows very emotional as Scrappy and Bambi seek to deal with the ramifications from the disclosure. Bambi tears uncontrollably and realizes that she never tried to hurt him but was locked in a vicious cycle of emotional pain and self-doubt. When presented with the hard reality, however, Scrappy continues to be cautious and wary. Even though he wants to assume that Bambi is sorry, he can't help but feel that their trust has been irreversibly destroyed since the woman he loved and believed he knew has deceived him in a way that feels unforgivable. As the episode comes to a close, there is a lingering air of ambiguity, leaving Scrappy emotionally tired and confused about what to do next. Is this the end of their volatile relationship, or will he be able to forgive Bambi and proceed with their marriage? However, Bambi is left to endure the repercussions of her behavior. For lovers and hip-hop fans, they must now confront not only the impact from Scrappy's revelation, but also the realization that her decisions have put what they fought so hard to achieve in peril. Time will tell, but one thing is for sure: Scrappy and Bambi's journey together will never be the same again. This unexpected turn of events in Atlanta has everyone on the edge of their seats, wondering how they will handle the aftermath and whether their romance will survive this scandal or whether it is the end of their journey.
That's why you do right here.
What they we talking about? We talking about what they
She don't be on that. You just want me to look bad. It's all good. You want me to look bad like I don't do nothing in your life. I know you said it out on TV.
She don't say that. Why you put child support in the same? What you respect? Like I need you, bitch. I'm with you. That's what you are. You a bitch. That's what you are. You what? You about that bitch. You second barrel. Keep following me. The Dominican Republic. You know that America. He proposed to me first. He's here. He with me. He's a let people here with me now. Let's see what you have. You're still working the bank. Please. Who do you want? I see you in the street shouting out where I'm. I'm busy right now. You know why I like you, bitch? Oh, you gonna fight? Yeah, what? Let me out. You ain't gonna
Hey, my shirt.
As the couple sits down to talk about the situation, Scrappy chooses to face Bambi in spite of his internal struggle. You can feel the tension in the room. As Scrappy looks at Bambi, who initially appears to be entirely clueless to the seriousness of the situation, his heart races. When Scrappy displays the bank statements with the rising charges, her cool-headedness only makes things worse for him, who feels thoroughly duped. Bambi's countenance lowers. She doesn't react immediately, and her eyes widen in disbelief as she takes it all in. Bambi initially argues everything, stating that there must have been a miscommunication somewhere along the way, but Scrappy's evidence is clear with each charge and expense. The calm between them is suffocating as the truth of the situation seeps in. As the altercation heats up, everything points to her. As Bambi's initial shock wears off and the implications of her behavior begin to seep in, she sobs and gives an explanation that Scrappy finds hard to believe. Bambi, she says that she felt overloaded and shut off from everything around her, including Scrappy, as she fought to balance the duties of parenthood, her husband, and her own personal concerns. The money wasn't spent out of greed or malice. Rather, it was a plea for assistance. Bambi utilized spending as an escape technique, assuming that it would allow her a short-term reprieve from the stress she was experiencing and give her a sense of control in a world that frequently seemed out of her reach.